Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know, TNA, well, battle lines are being drawn for the next pay per view sacrifice. However, as you know, the relationship between NXT and TNA has continued to rise. Recently, this past Tuesday, we saw Moose makes his debut inside of NXT, targeting Obafemi. But however, looks like Obafemi returned the favor. And then, of course, we have once again with Tessa Blanchard's shenanigans taking place. But, however, our main event features, of course, the Colognes, Epico, and, of course, Orlando taking on Joe Hendry and Elijah. That's going to be a fun match to also review. And then, of course, we move on with Ring of Honor featuring many matches. Of course, we have the ROH World Television title. Lee Johnson, who actually survived the Proving Ground match, gets his opportunity against Commander. But the question does remain, will Commander survive it or lose the belt? That's one thing we will find out soon enough. And then, of course, we'll cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed. We also, of course, do Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all pleasantries have been said. I believe it's time to hit the highway. So let's begin with TNA. Okie dokie. So let's begin with TNA. It opened up with Joe Hendry once again with his concerts, but however, his concert was interrupted by the Colognes. That's right, Epico and Orlando. Well, for some odd reason, they decided to crash the party, but apparently they had a little surprise by someone who decided to walk with Joe Hendry. That's right, Elijah. He actually showed up. However, of course, Santino Marella decided, let's make this into a main event. So, Joe Hendry and Elijah will team up to take on the Colognes. But one thing what's great is to see those two do a duet. I have to say, I would love to see those two become a tag team. I mean, they're a fun team to enjoy. So, we'll see what happens in the main event. Now, Gia Miller conducts an interview with Leon Slater. Now, as you all know, for quite some time, JDC feels that Leon Slater should join. You see, they're trying to make him his whipping boy, but Leon Slater feels that he doesn't need them, or they think just he need that Leon Slater needs them. No, it's like the system needs him. No, it's like Leon Slater and all this and this stuff. So he wants to deal with JDC once and for all. Now, as you probably know, we've been seeing Wesley ever since he turned his back on the Rascals, causing but problems. But luckily, the Rascals have an ally, and that is Ace Austin, who also dislikes Wesley, despite the fact that Ace Austin and the Rascals, well, they found respect with each other, even though they're not part of the same team. But they do not appreciate as Wesley bringing his cronies into the mix. However, the Rascals decided to deal with DuPont and Igwe, while of course Lee was outside and Austin was too. So it kind of went into a match where, of course, the Rascals won in their home turf, but it was, of course, Miguel the Swanton by Zach Wentz. Then Miguel was the one who pinned Igwe, and just like that, it was over. However, it was later that that Wesley was not going to let this slide one way or the other, so they decided to turn this into, of course, a six-man tag match in Sacrifice. So it's Lee, Igwe, and DuPont versus the Rascals and Ace Austin. So they want this to happen in Sacrifice, and it officially became clear, yes, it's going to happen. Now, the first class to do a little promo called the Penthouse once again. We did see Frank the Clown and, of course, Noel Foley. If you guys know who Noel Foley is, she is the daughter of Mick Foley, and she's in a relationship with that idiot. So, yeah, basically that's what was going on. Of course, I didn't catch too much about it, but, of course, the first class always trying to put themselves thinking that they are at the top of the world. Now, our next match, we have Rosemary versus Li Ying Li, formerly known as Xia Li. So it's great to see her back again. I mean, I would love to see her more, and I'm sure many of you too. The match, pretty good. She picked up a good win when she applied the Thunderstruck, but however, like the old saying goes, a loser cannot stand a winner. So Rosemary missed Lee right in the face with green mist, just like that. Basically, retribution for that. Now we did see, of course, Sami Callihan once again on a hunt against Mance Warner for what happened last time. Well, he did chase him down and beat the crap out of him in front of his girlfriend, Steph DeLanders. So you probably can guess how that turned out. Now, once again, as you know, Tessa Blanchard has been out of her way. She needed to talk to medical attention. However, the medical was busy with Xia Li. Now, we all know what Tessa Blanchard's trying to do. She does not want to wrestle. She wants to make a statement that she doesn't answer to no one. But, well, we'll see how things will go from her from there. Now, moving on, we have the Northern Armory once again, as you know. Eric Young gave his statement about Josh Alexander, about how selfish he was, about what he was doing with the Northern Armory. So, but now the real focus becomes to Steve Maclin. So it's more like he's saying, where does he stand? So I'm sure Steve Maclin does not like what he's seeing. I'm sure he's not confused, but more like, bit more like, what the hell, man? So that sort of thing. We'll see what happens down the road. Now, Mike Santana, as you know, he's been doing some sort of like AA meetings or something or whatever. Then Mustafa Ali shows up and, try to piss him off, all of this and that because he's trying to say, I believe in you guys. Well, Mike Santana doesn't need that kind of crap from someone. But sooner or later, of course, Mike Santana is going to give him a ass beating of a lifetime. But that's only when will that happen. Now, we did have a no disqualification match, JDC versus Leon Slater. Now, as you know, JDC, along with those idiots, the system, continues to push him to saying that he should side with them. They just want him to be their maid to carry the suitcase, but Leon Slater doesn't need that, because they think he needs better guidance. Well, he learned from the GOATs themselves, the Hardys. But as always, the system gets involved, costing the match by tossing Leon Slater through a table and then allowing JDC to pick up the win. And of course, they were going to teach him a lesson that he should need the system, but the Hardys showed up, but it was just too much until Oba Femi showed up to return a favor for what happened this past Tuesday. Now, of course, as you know, business has been taken care of from that. However, in the back, the system, crying like little big babies, decided to bitch about, that's not how things work. But, of course, Alicia says, this is all your fault, Moose, that he's here. But Santino decided to have a little chat, and of course, like, you need to do something about what you're doing, letting people in. Well, Santino doesn't give a damn what they think, so he decided, how about this? How about you guys next week? Myers, Edwards, and Moose taking on the Hardys and Obafemi. And of course, they're saying, that's not how the system works. Well, too bad. You're in the Santino system anyway. So basically, we'll see where that goes as well. Now, once again, Tessa Blanchard goes out of her way. No, she does not want to wrestle, saying that she doesn't need to answer to no one. However, Santino tried to tell her that she was going to fire her if she didn't do what she said. But Masha decided, you know what? I'm going to handle business. So she decides to go in the ring to take on Mila Moore. But you can guess that this match ended with Mila Moore losing it with the Requiem. And then, of course, Cora Jade showed up and attacked Masha Savage. And of course, Tessa likes what she sees, but I highly doubt she likes her getting in her way to get the TNA Knockouts World title. But we'll see where that goes. Now, Santino Marella, along with Ariana Grace, it seems like they're planning stuff for the sort of like a showdown or collision between NXT and TNA. But all of a sudden, the little Chihuahua, who works with Ash by Elegance and Heather, who is still complaining and bitching about the Knockouts tag team titles not falling in their favor. So they wanted this match to happen in Sacrifice, but Santino gave a good stipulation. If Spitfire wins, well, the little Chihuahua has to be their little whipping boy for 24 hours. But Spitfire decided to add if they lose, they'll do the same thing. That they will be their little stooges for 24 hours. So the deal was made. Now, once again, Ryan Mendez goes out to do a little promo, as you know, trying to use his big brother's name. Well, I don't know if that helps him out or not, but we'll see where that goes. Now, on for our match, we have the Colognes, Eddie and Orlando. Now, they did talk to Gia Miller and explained that they feel that guys like Joe Hendry are destroying a tradition of what pro wrestling is all about. Well, guys, things are changing, so you're stuck in the past. But they had the contempt with Elijah and Joe Hendry. I have to say, it was a pretty good match, but I did like the combination of Elijah and Joe Hendry. But Elijah was the one who picked up the win when he applied a pile driver on Eddie, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. So, all done deal. So, I really enjoyed the show, especially seeing some TNA talent, NXT talent, and of course, seeing Elijah. It's still unclear about him being debut. Hopefully, I'll get that information on the next episode. So, we'll see what happens. But for now, let's end things here and move on with our last review, Ring of Honor. All right, our last review, Ring of Honor. It starts out with Wheeler Yuta taking on Fuego del Sol. Of course, you probably can guess that this match became much of a brutal match for Fuego to deal with Wheeler Yuta, but Wheeler Yuta was able to apply uh, the both Psycho Knee onto Fuego, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But with that smug, ugly face of Wheeler Yuta decided to step overboard. He decided to choke out Fuego with the chain around his neck and making him bleed. But sooner or later, someone's going to choke him out or maybe put him in a plastic bag to make justice for what he did to Bryan Danielson. So we'll see what happens. Our next match, we have Rachel Ellering versus Abaddon. We haven't seen these ladies that much, but I have to say I'm happy to see them. Not going to lie about that. But I wasn't too sure where this is going to go. I mean, Rachel Ellering, she's fun to enjoy wrestling. Abaddon is a wrestler I feel like she should just reach for the top. But she was able to pick up a good win by applying the Black Dahlia onto Rachel Ellering. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, it appears, as you all know, Jack Jameson has been hanging out with um, what's their names? Cole Carter, Griff Garrison, and Preston Vance. Now they're calling themselves the Frat House. So it appears that they're forming a bit of a fraction, like a faction known as like high school guys that just are living in a frat house. So that's kind of interesting. But of course, in this match, Preston Vance, Griff, and Jack, they actually team up with the premier athletes with Tony Nese and Arya Davari, along with that weasel who's decided to wrestle Mark Sterling, taking on Top Flight, the Outrunners, and of course the return of the Von Erichs. So I thought it was a fantastic match. I'm not gonna lie about that. I mean, yes, seeing the Von Erichs is great because we haven't seen him, but they told that Ross had a shoulder injury or something. But I'm glad that he's doing okay. But man, this was a big group, so it's basically how you're gonna step out. But however, I have to say, Smart Bar Sterling was not so smart after all because he ended up on the wrong side of the how do I say of the total recall, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Turbo picked up the win. And everybody had a great time. So I have to say, real fun. Now, our next match, we have Billy Starks versus Haya. Now, Billy, as you know, has been walking on eggshells thanks to Athena with her usual antics. And of course, Athena did pick up a win, but I don't know exactly how this thing with her and Athena is going to go on. So we'll see. Now, our next match is the ROH World Television title. Remember, Lee Johnson was involved in a proving ground match against Commander, but he was able to survive it after 10 minutes. So this time, he's all out on this one. But however, he decided to take things further by injuring the ankle of Commander way possible, not to mention Induka getting involved. But luckily, Commander was able to prevail even with his foot injured. He applied the shooting star press. I hope he's doing okay, but uh, not sure because if he has to, he may have to withdraw, vacant if the world television title if things got a little serious. Now, our next match we have the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Tail Leona taking on Fly Death. Well, they just immediately started pounding on them like like they're still pissed off over something. And of course the open gates happen. Now, our next match we have, of course, which is our main event, a six-man tag match in a Lucha Libre rules match. We have wrestlers from CML making their presence. We have Barbadero Carmenero, Soberano Jr., and Hechicero taking on Sammy Guevara, Fuego, and Dark Panther. But however, while this match was happening, those scumbags that stole his Sammy's tag team belt, MXM would decide to be there. And of course, like any other match, you see some fantastic moments when it comes to Lucha Libre. I mean, I've been a big fan of Lucha Libre when I was a kid, watching the CML during when they were known as EMLL back in the day. But it was a good match. But unfortunately, MXM decided to get involved and make sure this match falls in their favor. But of course, Hechicero picked up a win by a submission on Fuego, and just like that, it was over. However, of course, MXM decided to deal with Sammy once and for all. But luckily for him, his tag partners Fuego and Dark Panther took matters in their own hands. But Sammy gave him the GTH because, as you know, Sammy wants his title back because MXM saying they are the undisputed ROH tag team titles. No, you're not, guys. You're living in delusions. Soon or later, Sammy has to get his belt back. Don't know when or where, but we'll see what happens. But for now, we'll end things here and move on with our last and final thing, news update. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events. Now, as you know, we will have the upcoming Barb Sasaki 25th anniversary event that will take place on the 10th of March in Corkin Hall. Now, as you know, we have members of the Stardom roster appearing in the show. Starlight Kid, Mayu Iwatani, and Suzuki. Now, another name has been added into that, and that is, of course, Azuki. So basically, Azuki is now part of that show. It's great to see 4 members of the Stardom roster participating. So we'll see how that rolls up. Now, as you know, Canadian promotion Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling will have their upcoming event Mayhem on the 14th and 15th of March in Ontario. 3 more names have been announced. Harley Cameron, Laney Luck, and joining the broadcast booth, we have, of course, Mario Manello, the guy from NXT, if you guys remember him. So, yeah. So, he is going to be part of the broadcast booth, which is great to see. House of Glory, the City of Dreams, that will take place on the 15th. They announced Zilla Fatu will be involved as well. As you know, we'll have the upcoming Sendai Girls event, the top of the Yoshi Wrestling, on the 19th of March. They announced that the Sendai Girls World Junior title will be on the line. Aya Sakura will make another attempt against Chi Chi, so that's going to be interesting to watch. Another name has been added for the upcoming MLW Battle Riot 7 on the 5th of April in LA. Brock Anderson, that's right. Brock Anderson will be involved in this. Is going to be interesting. Of course, the Las Vegas show for GCW's Bloodsport. Two more names have been announced: Timothy Thatcher and Tom Lawler. And then, of course, Deadlock Pro Wrestling returns to Japan for another event. This time on 2 days. April 24th, they will be in Shinjuku Face, and April 25th will be in Shinkiba. And then finally, Jersey Championship Wrestling, they will have their next event in April on the 11th in Asbury Park called Mayflowers. Four names have been announced. We have Timothy Thatcher, Mad Dog Connolly, Tom Filthy Lawler, and Billy Starks. So that's pretty much all what's going on with the promotions. Now, our only interesting development is very interesting. Many of you remember there's been some recent WWE releases. Sonya Deville was amongst those, and this is what was told. It says here that she was in the middle of the negotiation of a new contract with WWE, but however, she was shocked when they told her that we're going to let her go. So that was kind of interesting that she was planning to renew her contract. It seems that WWE were not interested. And this is what she had to say. She told us to Daria and Tony Unwrapped. We were in the middle of negotiations, so I thought the phone call was going to be in the middle ground, that we met on an agreement, a contract. And it was, we are not renewing your contract. So, for complete transparency, which this really, the first time I'm saying this, I was shocked. So yeah, I get it. I mean, if you were planning to renew your contract, I get it. That's something you probably would have thought, but unfortunately, it didn't happen the way she would have hoped. But I'm sure many people will probably ask where she would go from here. We'll see. I'm sure that she'll figure that out sooner or later, and I'm not going to jump into conclusions. I know some people are saying she should go to TNA or AW. It doesn't matter where she goes, but we'll see where life will take her from there. But for now, just end things here and call it a day. All right, so I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have another Unagi Sayaka watch for all of you. This one is we have a recent match that she had with Meiko Satomura, which is a very unique one, and of course some interesting developments that's surrounding her, and not to mention an upcoming match that will take place on the 24th of this month, and I think you guys don't want to miss it. And then, of course, for our next episode, I'm not sure yet. I'm considering doing an entire episode all about Tokyo Pro Wrestling, but we'll see what happens. I mean, there's still some wrestling events I'm behind, but like I said, we'll see how things will go in my favor. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.